Poppin'.
I had to do this music video. I apologize.
Yo, I was waiting for you for almost an hour. We're late to shoot Poppin'.
The music video, I had to do it.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Poppin', where we present our perspective on Philly youth news.
Yeah, where youth are doing positive things.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Youth United for Change. They host an event right here in City Hall about students being pushed out of Philadelphia high schools. They brought up issues such as being bored in the classrooms,
Lack of student and teacher relationships,
and irrelevant curriculum. Let's see what else they have to say. As you know, last year we covered the National Dropout Prevention Conference, where we witnessed an important conversation take place between youth and administrators. This year, however, Youth United for Change, a youth organizing group, has put together a conference surrounding the issue of pushed out, dropout. Students who drop out of school are oftentimes blamed for failing. But today, Youth United for Change are here to turn the tables around and argue that the school system is the one who failed them. So let's take a look at what Youth United for Change have to say.
And at the present time, our educational villages are not healthy, our community villages are not healthy, our home villages are not healthy, and these young people have spoken back to their scars and suffering in an advantageous way, by not being reactive, but by being proactive.
This is the most intimate we will ever get at this situation. Nobody knows this better than we know this, because we're the ones going through it. We're the ones that are leaving school. We're the ones affecting the rates of the push out. So who else is better to hear from it than us?
I felt that I was falling behind because everything that I tried to do was just, I kept getting pushed down. And that led me to getting pushed out.
What are some of the results that you found, or YUC found, while conducting?
The results we found was that students really do want to learn. It's just the fact of the schools that they are in and the environment that there is.
Philadelphia School District right now has a lot of problems, funding problems, classroom sizes large, this whole aspect of walking through the door and having to be met with a metal detector and things of that nature, and then teachers who fundamentally, not all, because we don't want to say all, but teachers who fundamentally don't take the time to get to know young people from a humanities standpoint.
I feel that the lack of relationship towards teachers and students is the biggest issue. To them, it was like they there for a job and that is it. They try to get to us, but if they can't, oh well, that's how they see it.
One of the things that I see is that you have a lot of teachers who really don't understand where young people are coming from. You might have a young person who is sleeping, and that teacher might look at that young person as being disinterested, but they never ask the young person why they're sleeping.
They really don't care about helping students out, and that is a shame. Because students want to get to learn. Teachers just have to build the relationship to understand the students and how they want to be learned in the process. The environment in the class was, half of the rooms was like more than 25 students in the room. And by the time a teacher gets to a student, the class is over, the period is done, and you have to go to the next class. Lack of disciplines. Like you could get suspended, 2 days later you'll come back. They don't know the reason why they got suspended. So that Philadelphia could do is that they could change things around in the school board. Like at least let it be interesting for students. Let them have the chance to choose what type of way they want to be treated, like of being educated. So students should be encouraged to do work. Not only to encourage, like to feel that, they could come to an environment where they could learn something and also feel right about learning it and walking out with an educational right.
Right now I'm at El Central High. El Central is an alternative school. It's way better than a regular school because the classrooms are small. Each class has like 15 to 16 students, while a regular school has over 25 students in one class. So you have all that time to develop relationship with your teachers and with students. They let you be your own person to learn the way you want to learn in your type of motion. You want to learn something fun, you could do it, but as long as you're learning something. You know, we do hands-off projects where schools don't do it.
Adults in the city of Philadelphia, we still owe this generation an apology because we have failed this generation. We should not have young people who cannot read and write. We should not have young people being pushed out, drop out, whatever the case may be. And that starts with parents, that starts with politicians, that starts with clergy, that starts with leaders like myself. We want young people to be educated in the city of Philadelphia, and we need to fight and give them that opportunity to do so.
If anybody feels that they need to drop out or pushed out, listen, this is a strong voice telling you, don't. You know, fight for your education, every right. Hold on there. YUC is there to help out as much as we can.
Yo, Earl, that segment was dope. Like, how was it?
Yo, it was great. Like, I learned about what being pushed out of school meant. Like, that meant a lot. Like, I didn't even, like, think about it in that type of way.
Wait. Do you hear that?
Let's go to prison. Let's go to prison. Let's go to prison.
What is that?
Let's go to prison.
Go find out.
Yo. What's up with this? What's going on?
What you didn't know?
What?
More opportunities in the prison. They're cutting all the money from the schools and putting into the prisons.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. In fact, our fellow popper Mo did a story about this. Let's check it out.
Prisons.
What's good, y'all? This is Mo from Poppin, here to inform you on the recent budget cuts that Governor Corbett proposed for 2011 and 2012 school year. You may say this is boring, or what does this have to do with me? But I'm here to tell you exactly what it has to do with you. If you are a youth, a teacher, a parent, or a college student, this issue is definitely concerning you. Now I'm going to give you some information on the facts of this issue. Did you know that the school district of Philadelphia is responsible for educating over 200,000 students? Philadelphia has the largest district in the state. 76% of the Philadelphia young people comes from low-income families. Altogether, Philadelphia educates over 25% of Pennsylvania low-income students. The money to fund Philadelphia schools comes from local taxes. The taxes are decided by the mayor of Philadelphia and the city council. We also get money from the state of Pennsylvania, and that is decided by Governor Corbett and state legislators. The last 2 years, student achievement has increased to historically high levels. In 2010, 75% of students were proficient or advanced in math, and 72% were proficient or advanced in reading. This progress will be threatened by cuts in education funding, especially in schools with the most challenging students and the largest remaining achievement gaps. The governor appears to have decided to cut at least $1 billion from the education budget. In general, the cuts fall hardest on school districts with the greatest student poverty.
There are going to be severe cuts if everything works out the way it's been proposed, and it'll have dramatic effect on young people. Think about this. You right now have about 350 students for every counselor as people try to go to Temple or to LaSalle or Drexel. Imagine if what we have to do is make that 400 or more. That means that you have fewer chances to work with that counselor to talk about your life, about your career. That's the kind of effect that these budget cuts might have.
Here are some things that may be eliminated and reduced. School nurses, teachers, special education teachers, athletic programs, summer programs, dual admission programs, bilingual programs.
If you come from another country and you're trying to learn English as a second language, it doesn't mean we won't have that service, but there will be fewer people to provide it for an increasing number of children.
Comme le bilingue, newcomer, and ESL teacher. Yeah, ces programmes sont très importants.
Okay, he says that the Newcomer Center and ESL teacher, these two programs are very important. He wouldn't like the school district to cut them.
While schools are being cut, some other institutions are receiving increased funding. Correctional facilities are getting an 11% increase on funding.
When the governor in his address said, when he proposed these drastic cuts to education, he said he was doing that because during these times, everyone has to suffer, everyone has to sacrifice. But that's not true, because one of the big areas that didn't get cut but actually got an 11% increase is the Department of Corrections budget, which got an increase of $186 million for the year. That's on top of $650 million that's set aside already to build 3 new state prisons that construction is about to begin on. Since 1980, prison spending in Pennsylvania has grown 6 times faster than education spending.
The growth industry in Pennsylvania is prisons. The prisons are going in those areas that are economically depressed. They're not building them in Philadelphia, they're not building them in the East Preston, they're building them where there used to be steel mills and mines because they create jobs. And understand that we in Philadelphia too often provide the product that they need.
State colleges and universities will be cut by 50%.
Colleges are going to have to increase tuition. Colleges will become much more expensive. So that if you're planning to go, for example, next year, you have planned out your budget and you have a certain amount of money, when things get more expensive, it makes it much more difficult to have enough money to go to school. And there's also the reality that in some cases, some schools are probably going to close because they're not going to have the state support to survive. You're looking at Penn State, University of Pittsburgh closing some of their branch campuses.
Fund schools, not prisons. Fund schools, not prisons. Fund schools, not prisons.
Earl, what are you doing?
Protesting. Fund schools, not prisons. You heard what that guy said.
Yeah, it's like really, really bad out here.
It is. Actually, we just took part in a march not too long ago on 13th and Filbert. Then we marched right to the school district building. You wasn't there, but I was.
Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. Hi, I'm Erla.
Hi, I'm Nastasia.
We're here on 13th and Filbert at the Fund Schools Not Prisons rally.
Today we're out here with, as you can see, hundreds of other college students, high school students, and some middle students, youth all across the city to rally and march against funding being taken away from schools and put into prisons.
This is an important issue taking place today. I took part in the march from Temple University's Bell Tower.
And I took a march just from here at 13th and Filbert where they started the rally.
So right now we're marching back to the school district building to continue with this rally. We need answers and we need funds. So stay tuned.
I could ignite the people like Obama. I wish I could ignite the people like Obama. Ignite the people like Obama. The people ignite the people like Obama.
Education alive! No education alive!
March back to the school district building, as you can see. We're here chanting and rallying for our education.
I'm here today to speak out against Governor Corbett's budget cuts in prison investments. And my question to the school district of Philadelphia is, will you work to help us implement student-centered solutions to violence in our schools? And my question to all of you is, will you all support the campaign for nonviolent schools?
As you can see, everybody's out rallying, so I just wanted to get a little feedback from the people that are actually out here. So, Jim, quick question, like what brought you out today?
And I wanted to be out here to support the voice of our young people.
We here like actually protesting with those people here, but I can see now that these like people out here really care about their education and they don't want it to go to waste.
But I care about my education. That's what brought me out of here.
So I'm out here supporting to make a name for everybody.
I came here because we don't need we need schools and not prisons.
Yes, more schools, no prisons. I came here to find my power and stay in school and not leave out.
Stop using our tax dollars to pay for prisons so that we can have more dorm rooms built than prison cells.
One of the things that like I feel strongly about is like school funding and everything. And like it's really crazy how that this country in general is like so worried about the future generation, yet they're cutting so much that like pretty much affect us right now.
I don't like how they taking money out of our school system to build new jails.
They're taking, I believe, $550 million from our education to build 3 new jails, which I think is absolutely ridiculous.
We should be clear what these cuts mean, not only to my members, but throughout the school district.
They're just pretty much setting us for jail. Like if you're taking resources away from school, then in turn people are going to start dropping out because they don't have the resources.
The budget cuts are going to affect us because it already has, because our school doesn't send us mail anymore. We have to take it home personally. So the budget cuts are already affecting us.
It's going to be really discouraging for high school students to think about going on to college and fulfilling their education just because it's such a huge setback when there's all this money being taken away.
If there's even more budget cuts, it just makes it so much more difficult. And I want to get my master's degree, so it's gonna be even that more harder for me. So it's really upsetting.
We're not going to have as much funding in our schools that we need, and when we go to college, we're not going to have as much funding, such as financial aid or anything like that.
Why take away money for us to be somewhere in life?
Them taking money from our education and building 3 new jails, the message that they're portraying is that they believe we're going to be in jails.
I feel as though that with the budget cuts, it's like promoting more issues. Like with the budget cut, the crime rate go up.
What type of message are you sending to the future youth that like we're not worth the future? Like we're worth more as inmates than we are as actual scholars?
We should be investing in providing extracurricular activities, after-school programs, counseling services, social services. Our youth in this city are hurting and we need to help them. We need to help them heal.
And I want you to take this moment. I want you to get on the telephone. I want you to call Governor Corbett and tell him he cannot balance the budget on the backs of the young people in Philadelphia.
Trying to tell the state that we need funding for education, not for prisons, and that we need schools that are run in such a way that really support young people and encourage their voice rather than pushing them on a path towards prison.
We need this. We barely have enough money to get by now or to learn, and you're taking money from us.
Because we need funds. We are an investment. Harrisburg needs to listen up because we are the future of the nation.
Leaders, we are
leaders.
Thinkers, we are
thinkers.
Artists, we are
artists.
Organizers, we are
organizers.
Innovators, we are
innovators.
Youth, we are
a youth movement.
Save our school! Save our school!
Wow, that was awesome. I wish I was there.
I wish you was there too, Aaron, but it's cool though. There was over 2,000 youth out there protesting for their education.
2,000?
Over 2,000.
And they didn't consider that a flash mob?
Why would they consider that a flash mob?
Anytime there are more than 5 youth in one vicinity, they consider that potential threat.
That's ridiculous.
Well, let's turn it over to Lindsay Graff, where she'll be explaining what flash mobs are and breaking it down.
I'm Lindsay Graff, and I'm breaking it down. At Poppin', we're always trying to give you a different perspective of youth news in Philly. But for those times when the mainstream media is your main source of breaking news, I'm here to help you deconstruct a newspaper article or the nightly news on TV. Well, spring has sprung, and with it comes an increasing number of sunny days, balmy nights, and dangerous teenagers roaming the streets and wreaking havoc. Or at least that's what the media wants us to think. Who can forget the scathing, terrifying news coverage of the teen flash mob epidemic that occurred just over a year ago? In case you happen to miss the great flash mob farce of 2009 and 2010, here's a taste of the media coverage.
There was a lot of kids in there, a lot of chaos.
A couple of kids were shoving and pushing, and then people started throwing shoes at each other, and somebody threw a sign over someone's head, it looked like, and just there was a lot of commotion.
We are talking about serious crime being committed and people being injured. And if anybody thinks that that's a joke, then they've got another thing coming.
Media coverage of these events was thorough, to say the least. There were close to 140 stories just in the 3 main Philly newspapers, and extensive TV and online coverage of a grand total of 4 flash mobs. Bad news, folks. Flash mobs are back in 2011. Maybe.
Warm weather has Philadelphia police out in full force tonight in Center City. They are cracking down on rowdy teenagers looking to cause mayhem.
Yikes. Philadelphia teens must be really unpredictable and scary, right? Well, let's break it down by talking about stereotypes. Modern news outlets notoriously sensationalize hot topics and come down hard on one social group or another. A group that has been consistently pigeonholed as rogues and villains is teens.
A group of female students apparently made a pact to get pregnant together.
Is the Attorney General right? Are we seeing a, quote, plague of teen violence?
The videos are littered across YouTube of teens glamorizing risky stunts.
It's called the choking game, or 5 Minutes in Heaven. It's a dangerous teen trend where adolescents literally choke each other to get a brief high.
Another perceived menace to society is technology. But perhaps the most frightening yet, what happens when you combine the two?
They call it sexting, cyberbullying.
Children growing up in a world of social media.
Teens and technology have a few things in common in the eyes of the law enforcement and the media. They're unpredictable, and adults don't understand them, therefore making them dangerous.
Now they're using these technologies, Facebook, MySpace, texting, and 1,000 kids are showing up.
Presenting flash mobs, one of the most dangerous threats ever to hit Philadelphia. That's right, troublemaking teens are organizing via text messaging and social media and invading the city's most sacred spaces, their tourist districts. Now, there's no doubt that some of these teen gatherings have gotten out of hand, as will happen with young people who sometimes exercise poor judgment. But what has really spiraled out of control is the media's apparent obsession with demonizing young people and the extreme enforcement action that has ensued. In mid-March of this year, police completely shut down a city park because the weather was warm and there were rumors of a flash mob.
Philadelphia police officers lined the entrances. The park closed down for several hours Friday evening after law enforcement heard rumblings of a flash mob rumored to start here and move towards South Street.
Park's gonna be closed. Park's gonna be closed.
As stereotypes and prejudices are swirled around by the media, it is becoming more and more apparent that the anxiety about teen flash mobs in Philadelphia has escalated to a moral panic. It also helps that the media has latched onto a popular but slightly misleading catchphrase.
Flash mob.
Flash mob. Flash mob.
Flash mob.
Flash mob to describe the events. The phrase flash mob has connotations of intensity, disorder, and massiveness, thus stoking the fire of this moral panic. Instead of whipping ourselves into a frenzy and cowering at the thought of unruly urban teenagers taking over the streets, let's take a closer look at why young people might be roaming around with nothing to do this summer.
I keep looking and looking and looking, and then they not hiring.
The statistics illuminate the problem. The unemployment rate for teens between 16 and 19 years old is almost triple the overall rate. In other words, teens have been hit hard.
Identified by city teenagers as one of the best paths to success, youth summer employment this year is set to continue on its downward trend. As the economy continues to falter, suddenly unemployed adults are taking up jobs in retail, the food service industry, and other positions typically held by teenagers looking to save up some money. In addition, Work Ready Philadelphia, the citywide youth employment agency which sponsored jobs for 11,000 youth last year, has had its funding slashed by 50%. Instead of imposing stricter curfews and rigorously targeting any and all groups of teens traveling together in the city might consider looking into creating incentives for local businesses to hire youth. Remember to consider that there is always more than meets the eye when it comes to dramatic news stories. If you ever feel caught up or overly alarmed by a scandalous narrative presented to you by the media, consider what stereotypes and emotions are being played upon, what elements of the story seem scary because they're difficult to understand, what unmentioned circumstances might be contributing to the issue, and what alternative measures can be taken to combat the problem besides ratcheting up law enforcement. Tune in next time for more help with breaking it down.
Okay, so just now we found an elusive flash mob. Follow me. Flash mob button. Shh. So, you guys, what do you think adults would consider a flash mob?
All teenagers. And I don't think that's right.
I personally think like adults out here that see us think like, yeah, that's a flash mob right here.
So y'all know that if it's 5 or more y'all, the police can come and break you guys up, because that's technically considered a flash mob.
I personally don't like the fact that they call every young teenager a flash mob.
Just because they
being a
downtown.
group, right?
Yeah, I don't understand that. I feel some type of way about that.
Can you give me an example of a flash mob?
Well, basically, an example of a flash mob, you're in a big group of people, you're loud, you're doing something they're not supposed to do, and disturbing. Be quiet, peace, quiet, right?
So I have another question. So you know they're cutting a lot of jobs for the summer. So what do you guys plan on doing for the summer now that there's not going to be a lot of jobs left?
I think a lot of these teenagers going to do what they're going to do. They're going to be in the streets, you know, like playing around, doing stuff they're not supposed to do, because they need more stuff out here for these teenagers to be occupied instead of being in these streets, right? And wind up in jail.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Poppin', but before we close, we would like to give a big shout out to the Youth Action Scholars of the University Community Collaborative of Philadelphia.
Never flopping, always rocking. YAS, get it poppin'. YAS, get it poppin'. YAS, get it poppin'.
Hey, what's poppin'? I'm here today on 23rd and Judson at the Honickman Center, where the Youth Action Scholars will be giving you a reality check on media and education. Let's go in and see what's poppin'.
This workshop is about the unbalanced funding in education and the criminal justice system. It's important to me because it's like I think that more people should value it and should know about things that goes on with their education and how they learn it. Because I want to know about things that happen behind closed doors with my education. And we also going to be presenting and telling the crowd about different forms of oppression. So with this activity, we're going to pass out a piece of paper to each person. And what we need y'all to do is write down a struggle in your life that can affect your schooling. All right, so now I'm just going to share some of the ideas y'all wrote on the paper, and we're just going to have a discussion off of it. And being pregnant, what do you think that would fall under? Institutionalized oppression, interpersonal, or internalized oppression?
Internalized.
Internalized within yourself?
We're called the Youth Action Scholars, and what we do is we pick an issue and we research it and we create a workshop about the issue.
So why is this issue that you are presenting today important to you?
It's important to me because I feel as though it's not really discussed. And like in general, if I'm having a conversation with my friends, it's probably about sports. We don't really talk about like serious issues that really affect us and why things are the way they are.
Follow us on Twitter, What's Poppin'. Check out our blog, what'spoppin.blogspot.com. Like us on Facebook. Google us. We'll come up.
Education, let's get it poppin'.
Let's go to prison. That's being made in the city and state of Philadelphia. Well, Pennsylvania.
So that's a wrap for today's, am I saying show?
So that's a wrap for today's episode.
All right.
See you next time.